Bobby, rich and tall, they got the rhythm and the hype. Talking about the noise brigade, stirring up noise all night. They dive deep into the madness. No topic left unturned, from corn dog to Johnny Bench. It's the knowledge we have learned, LRG have learned. LRG shipping woes, they shed light on it all. No cryptids left unknown, they'll tear down every wall. The rebels of the podcast world, breaking all the rules, giving voice to the unheard, making sure no one falls. From wrestling to mysteries, they cover it all. Bobby, Rich, and Tom, they'll never let us fall.
Oh, dung too late on that.
That would have been that was perfect timing though. I said, let's fucking go. And then it went ding.
Even better. So we're joined by old friend of the show here. What's going on, man?
It's the Binkmeister.
Well, it's nice to know that the show's still available and that you tell me it's still on the air, because I haven't heard shit.
Well, why the fuck haven't you fucking subscribed and listened and given us a 5-star review and all that shit?
How many times have you listened and given a 5-star review?
I listen all the fucking time. I'm probably the only person who does.
We're literally the only listens to the show, so I mean,
Buy some fucking merch, dick.
yeah, noisebrigadepod.com.
And we're on fire to start as usual.
No, so this is going to be one of those weird recurring themes, because we definitely want to get Rich's input on this. He was supposed to be on, wasn't available tonight.
Jerking off the feet
I'm
pics.
sure he's tied up.
He's sitting somewhere jerking off the feet pics, possibly with his feet.
So you shot Bob, you shot me and Rich this text a couple weeks back, and it's one that's I think made the round social media. Obviously, it's one of those typical, pick these things, whatever. And I've seen some things on TikTok, whatever. But we need to kind of dictate this first as to the parameters of our little episode here, and then hey, here's what we have to pick from. And this will be fun because look, Bink was around. We did the whole bracket of bad thing. We've done some other things that were kind of in the same realm, and I think this will be fun. It'll elicit some good conversation. Be curious to see what we have that is the same, and why we differ on some certain things. So choose 5 80s movies, and from this list that I'm going to run through, and the rest basically go away forever. So you have The Breakfast Club, Ghostbusters, Pretty in Pink, E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, Dirty Dancing, The Fly, Evil Dead, Big, Top Gun, Back to the Future, Karate Kid, Empire Strikes Back, Lost Boys, Short Circuit, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Purple Rain, Flashdance, Beetlejuice, The Outsiders, 16 Candles, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Goonies, Gremlins, Poltergeist, Heathers, Child's Play, Weird Science, Neverending Story, Tron, Rocky IV, Teen Wolf, Dark Crystal, Stand By Me, Coming to America, Blade Runner, Lean on Me, and last but not least, Mask. And we're not talking about the Jim Carrey mask.
Jim Carrey one. It's the one where the dude had the giant fucking
elephant face.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
If you jerk off to that, your name Rich.
Well, I mean, his head did look like a foot in that, so there you go.
It had to smell.
See, it all comes full circle, kids.
Yes, it does. All right, so I said we just kind of go around here, and let's just we'll pick one, and then until we get through our 5 each, and then see if provide some rationale if you want. That's fine. If not, say it's fine too.
I was just gonna say, why don't we just go through our 5?
Oh, that's fine too. Whatever you think,
and we can discuss.
That works. You want to roll your 5?
Yeah, sure. All right. So obviously Ghostbusters.
Why? No, I'm just kidding.
Gotta go Raiders, I think. Evil Dead. I'm going Empire. And this is where it gets tricky because I'm down to my last one. Part of me says Back to the Future. Part of me says Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But I'm almost, part of me says Beetlejuice. But I've got to go, and this is, obviously I'm fucking over Goonies here, but Tron. That has to be on it for me. So
Wow.
that's my 5.
Okay, so now, out of curiosity, why Tron over the aforementioned other ones that you just went through?
So Tron was such a leap in special effects that I think that we don't get a lot of the stuff that we have going forward if we don't have Tron. So I look at Tron. First of all, I love Tron. I think it's a great movie, and I love Tron. The second one, the fuck, I can't remember the name of it. Legacy, yeah, love Tron Legacy. Great movies to me on their own merits, but I feel like the jump in special effects that we got from Tron, the original, doesn't happen. Like the other movies that benefited from it don't happen if we don't have Tron first. So, granted, something might come in and fill that spot, but I really, Tron to me has to be on that. Rocky 4, if it were Rocky 1, 2, or 3, would probably make the list too. But it's Rocky 4, so it doesn't. It's fuck Rocky 4.
Yeah, I was curious as to why, and again, I'm just maybe we're playing a little foreshadowing here for at least for my list, but like you were wavering on Back to the Future.
So Back to the Future could easily take Tron. Matter of fact, Back to the Future takes Tron.
I love you.
Back to the Future takes Tron. I love Roger Rabbit. Single movie. Okay. I love the Goonies. Single movie. Back to the Future gives us 2 glorious sequels. But it's a little sus in that, Marty's mom tries to fuck him. So that's a little weird.
Yeah. That's a fair point. No, I was curious. I was like, why is he wavering on that one? It's a weird one to waver on.
But I'll tell you why we don't go with Karate Kid, because if we don't have Karate Kid, then we don't have to have that shitty one with Jaden Smith. The Kung Fu Kid or whatever the fuck it was.
Hey, I think we've rolled that into Bracket of Bad. So
yep.
That's a callback. Feel free to go back in the archives, listen to that one.
I mean, Gremlins is pretty dope. Like, there's some really good movies on here that are getting left off. But if I gotta go, I'm number one. I'm taking things that were in like with sequels and stuff, like franchises, because then it would wipe out those franchises. And then other stuff like Empire. Is Empire my favorite movie? No, but you know what? If we don't have Empire, we don't have any of the Star Wars stuff, and more importantly, we don't have Spaceballs.
Yep, I agree with you. That's why it's on my list.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, perfect. So all right, go for yours, man. What do you got, Bink?
So, if I did this list in the 80s, it'd be completely different probably than I do now, because I'm looking back on movies that I still watch. I love 99% of these movies that are on this list. And it was so hard I got like 5A, 5B, 5C. I mean, you can name them. But the first one that stood off to me as my favorite movie on this list was Stand By Me. I absolutely love that movie growing up. And I just watched it with my daughter a little while ago. I would go Breakfast Club, Roger Rabbit, Empires, and Evil Dead. The one that I had for Evil Dead and Ghostbusters, those are kind of 5A, 5B for me. It's just what movies did I absolutely love growing up as a kid, and those are pretty much those. And I still watch them with my kiddo and just enjoy them.
So you went sentimental.
Yeah, I did. Totally sentimental.
Yeah. I think it's a good way to approach it. It's funny because the list itself is obviously you're narrowing it a lot. We're not talking about all 80s movies here. But you're talking about many that were very popular. And of course you're going to have the tendency to look at things that, obviously you watch, rewatch, whatever. But that's cool. Like I wouldn't have thought that you were going to say Stand By Me as your first for sure. I, wasn't going to think that, but a fantastic movie, by the way. It's really cool to like, it just elicits a good discussion. Like, okay, why would you do this? But like sentimental reasons, or like Bob, you mentioned Tron, and I realized that we just joked about wavering back and forth between that and Back to the Future. But you're right though. If you don't have Tron, you also don't have a slew of movies ahead of it that you've got to enjoy for the 90s, the zeros, 2010s, and now. Because if it wasn't for that, you wouldn't have all of what we have now. It's really cool the differences in that frame of reference on it. I asked the same question to one of our friends, Kyler, who I've known for a long time. He's been on the show before. I actually looked up. We did an episode with him about. Actually, I asked him. I was like, "Hey, man, are you around tonight?" And he's like, "Nah, I'm fishing in New York. He's doing a tournament." And call back to an old episode we did back a couple of years ago. But I asked him this question. He actually wasn't even born in the 80s. And I thought, well, this would be a fun question to ask someone that wasn't even born in that decade. And
I wasn't born in the 80s.
Yeah, that's right. You weren't either. Yeah. Now, this is the other way, though. You actually grew up with that stuff. He did not, other than being in reruns. So his 5 choices were Top Gun, Evil Dead, Coming to America, Back to the Future, and he actually said Rocky 4. So,
oh shit! You know what? I was thinking Rocky 5.
Rocky 4 is with Drago.
Yeah, Rocky 4 is good. My bad. I take that back. My bad. I'm gonna pull a R-Truth. My bad. My bad. I was thinking that was only Tommy Gunn.
I thought there was only 4 Rocky movies, anyways.
I mean, listen. As far as I'm concerned, there was 4 numbered Rocky movies, and then there was Rocky Balboa, and then that was it.
Yeah, there was a lot of those. Now, then they did the Creed movies, correct?
Yeah, there's 2 Creed movies so far.
Yeah,
which they've been really well received. I haven't seen them yet, but
I watched the first Creed. It was pretty good, actually.
Was the first one good?
Yeah, it was actually pretty decent to watch.
Yeah, they're on my list. It's just ones I haven't gotten to. There's quite a few movies on my list that I haven't gotten to. But...
Yeah, and again, this will be more foreshadowing to mine. Philly, you have to love Rocky, right? I mean,
dude, wait a second. Are you going to talk shit on Rocky?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
The original's awesome, and don't get me wrong, I like the movies, but I'm not a boxing guy, so
fair enough.
Look, a couple of the Rocky movies to me, we start talking about another 80s movie here. You might as well start getting to that over the top type stuff. It's very, very 80s. I mean, it's just, so I just, whatever. Not for me. My 5, though, I will go and do this here. I've got Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Beetlejuice, Roger Rabbit. This is where I struggled. I just couldn't do a 5th, and I went with E.T. And the only reason I went with E.T. is the sheer fact that E.T. was like one of the first movies I could ever remember watching, ever. I was probably 2, 3.
Dude, you're gonna hate my next.
I went to E.T. when it came out of the movies, and it scared the shit out of me. I was 4 when it came out, so like, as a 4-year-old, that scared the shit out of me. I appreciate it now, of course, but at the time, I didn't want to watch it.
Well, that leads me into my next little discussion for this. Do you guys want to try and do? I'll say, because this is a hard list to hate. but let's do 3 each that we would get rid of and why.
Okay. All right.
Like if we could keep the rest, but we got to kill 3.
Just
What are-
completely.
Yeah. What are the 3 that you would kill off of this list?
All right. Before we get there,
Oh,
Danielle, are you ready to give your 5?
Sure.
Okay, Danielle's going to come over real quick, and she's going to give her 5. So before we get to the 3 that we would just completely axe, Danielle decided to. I sent her this and showed her this, and I said, "Hey, give me your choice." And I asked her to actually come record, but she said, "No, I'm just going to pop on whenever you're recording."
Well, that's
So,
because she's big time in us.
yeah, it's what happens whenever you have highly listened to episodes.
Yeah.
With the guy that's not even here.
Right. The guy that just can't even grace us with his presence either.
All right, go ahead. What's your 5?
you got a new shipment in today. He's busy, guys.
Well,
Alright.
since Labyrinth isn't a choice, I went with Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Karate Kid, Neverending Story, and Beetlejuice. Even though Roger Rabbit was one that I thought of because of the technology that they used.
That's a good point. That's one of the reasons Bob brought up for Tron was the tech part of it.
Mhm.
That's good. I didn't think about that on the Roger Rabbit. Really was a good tech one. I don't think that gets a lot of praise, really, if you think about it from that perspective.
No, I
It
agree.
was ahead of its time, big time.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And I love that movie. Like I remember seeing that in the movie theater.
And so
Oh,
that
yeah.
was that. But Danielle did mention that, so I'm curious to see what your guys' thought is on. Again, we're talking about a closed list, but they include the Neverending Story, but they don't include Labyrinth, which to me is a very highly, in that same regard as a highly regarded '80s film that probably,
Cult following.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean-
Labyrinth. See, there's a couple that really could be on there that it's like, wow, really, you left that shit off. I mean, I'm thinking more along the lines of like Spaceballs. I feel like really should have been on there.
Mhm.
I think that the Hot Shots movie, Major League. Although no, Major League didn't come out until the 90s, right?
90.
No, Major League was in 88, I believe.
Okay, because I remember seeing that in the theater, and then
Yeah, Terminator was 84.
yeah, Terminator could have been on there.
Mm-hmm.
They left quite a few out that really could have been on there and done well, but
And Peach Dragon. I'm upset that Peach Dragon wasn't on.
yeah.
Well, Peach Dragon was 1977.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
there we go. That's why.
No, but it's interesting though, and I think that's what the whole that whole list elicits though, is like you think about movies that should have been on there and movies that Major League's a crap. Yeah,
Oh.
you start including like Major League and Terminator and stuff like that, man. And RoboCop,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Die Hard,
classic Weekend at Bernie's.
Weekend at Bernie's. I mean,
Right. Look who's talking.
look who's talking.
Police Academy.
That
Police Academy.
Police
How many
Academy.
Police
Yeah,
Academy
that
movies
list.
weren't on there? Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh yeah.
Like there's so many movies that they missed, but I understand because you're saying choose 5. And honestly, if they made some of these logos any smaller, I wouldn't be able to read them.
Ghostbusters 2. No, I'm just kidding.
Predator.
Predator. Yeah, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. But there, all right,
So
so
you not have Rambo on there either.
right,
Oh,
Rambo. Look, and here's another question, which we can talk about after we get through this. How many of these had fucking Saturday morning cartoons? And they were
Ooh.
adult-rated movies, but had either cartoons on Saturday mornings or in syndication or whatever. Because
Mhm.
I can go down this list, and I know that shit, most of them had some kind of cartoon or some kind of marketing towards kids, whether it was a video game, action figures, whatever. Because what was the 80s if not materialism? So, but let's go with our 3 that we would kill forever. So, does anybody want to start?
yeah. I was gonna say, yeah. Anyone have any?
I can go.
Okay, for it.
Purple Rain, if I never see it again, I don't care. Same with Heathers. And then Mask. I mean, I've seen them once, and I'm like, I don't need to see the replay value of it. They were good, but like, I'm never gonna be like, oh, I want to see Mask again.
So the only question I have for you is, when you kill Purple Rain, does that kill the soundtrack too?
No.
Okay, good. All right,
Yeah.
as long as we got the soundtrack, I'm good.
Oh, the soundtrack's good to go.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. I'm going to go with Dirty Dancing because I was subjected to it so many fucking times since my sister's favorite movie. So fuck that movie. That's gone. Flashdance can eat a bag of dicks. And here comes the unpopular one. Fucking T.
Really?
I'm good.
Go home. You
Wow.
fucking glowworm fingered kid toucher. Get the fuck off my planet.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah, I like. I would agree with you on all three of those, but if the wife watches Dirty Dancing or Flashdance, it's a good night.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I agree with you. In the '80s, E.T. I didn't watch it at all
Yeah.
because
I mean, the only other,
scared me.
I'll say if, and again, this is where I'm gonna, I'll go a little bit. I'll waver a little bit. So again, I liked the Karate Kid movies, even the Hilary Swank Karate Kid movie. But if it prevents us from getting the Jaden Smith version, I will kill Karate Kid where it stands. And the Lost Boys freaked me out when it was the maggots in the rice.
The maggot, yes, totally.
So
I remember seeing that in the theater with my dad, and I like grabbed that on his arm. I was like, "Fucking maggots,
fucking magnets. How do they work?
fucking magnets." You know, a
But
movie
yeah.
on here that like none of us has talked about is The Outsiders. How many stars came out of that movie?
Oh yeah. That
I mean, you
one
name it.
one can eat a bag of dicks because I had to read it in school, and
Yeah, oh
we had to reenact a scene from it, and I
Was
took
it the raping scene?
No.
No.
What we had to do was like do like an extended version of it. That no, I wouldn't do that. That was Richie did that stuff.
Okay.
We had to do like an extended version of what happened, and so we picked the scene where they try to rob the store or whatever, and it was bad. But we took it totally seriously, but we also may have thrown in some racist stereotypes as far as the accents of the people in the people who were running the little store. And
7-Eleven.
yeah, so my teacher didn't think we were taking it seriously and gave us a C.
Hmm.
I was like, "Oh, you're an asshole." I took that really seriously. That's why we got
That's
into
why you didn't
method
get into
acting.
Harvard, right?
That's why we got into method acting. We were trying to inhabit our characters,
Hmm.
and she didn't think it was good enough. We may have also thrown in the line from the Jerky Boys, "My friend, that is not good business."
This is tough. Picking off three, and you know, I've got to go with. I think this kind of sentiment has been shared a little bit with freaking people out. If we're gonna go with the freaking people out, my three. The first one for me is Poltergeist.
Oh yeah,
because I saw that at a super young age. I can watch it again, but I can do without it. So it freaked me out. Like I saw it when I was really young, and you know, just no, I'm good. Just for the sheer fact of like unfamiliarity as far as like a movie that I just it's just not me. I've seen all these movies, but Lean on Me, just not like a Back to the Future for me. Like where I've seen it over 100 times. You know, it's just not there for me. Now this is where it gets tricky because I don't know what else to really get rid of. So I'm just gonna have to just say in the same stance, I guess Purple Rain. I just really don't know. The rest of them are just so good and so iconic that I have something to say for. And it's not that I don't am dissing the Purple Rain soundtrack's amazing. So, but it wasn't really a movie that I would have watched back when I was younger. So I don't really have anything sentimental for it. So I will agree to have that one too because I just don't, you know, I don't have anything for it. So
How's Batman not on this list?
because I think everybody would just keep Batman.
Okay.
I think
Sorry, I was just-
that's the thought process.
All right,
But
now why did they keep Batman though? Is it because of Batman or is it because of the obvious reason?
Wait till they get a load of me.
Jack Nicholson. Come on.
Oh,
man.
okay. I thought that's where you're going. Well,
Dude.
Listen. I didn't know if that's the way you were going, or if you were going. That brings us Batman Returns, which has Michelle Pfeiffer in a fucking.
No, well, that was
It
91.
was 91. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why that's not included. But
Well,
look,
no, but if we don't have that, we don't have. If we don't have Batman, we don't have Batman Returns.
yeah,
I think if you don't have Batman, you don't have all the Marvel shit and like DC and none of that stuff that's going on right now.
Well,
That's just me.
so yes and no. Now, and here's where I'll say this. I think Marvel ends up better off in the long run without Batman happening. And here's why. When Batman happens, Marvel, just after that, Marvel starts going into a downward swing and they start to recoup money selling all of their IP, the rights, the movie rights to all these different companies instead of trying to make the movies themselves. They
Makes
sell all the movie rights to recoup money so that they can keep on operating. What happens then is that's when you've got Spider-Man is with Sony. You've got the X-Men are with Fox. You've got the Fantastic Four with Fox. Daredevil's with Fox. Universal has the Hulk. You know, all these different entities have all of the different Marvel characters. And then Fox, because they didn't want to lose the rights to the Fantastic Four, make that horrible fucking Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie that they make and then never fucking release. You can see it on YouTube though. But it never made it to theaters. That's where you get Dolph Lundgren playing as the Punisher. And it was so fucking bad that it never got released. Or it got released, but not like a wide release. You've got this shitty Captain America where he doesn't have like an actual helmet or cowl or anything. He's got a motorcycle helmet. Like, these movies are so... You've got David fucking Hasselhoff as Nick Fury. These are things that really happened. And you can look them up on the internet. They exist. But that's what ends up happening to Marvel. So now you could also say conversely, like, all right, well, if Marvel doesn't sell off the rights to those, they cease to exist as a company. But I don't think that's necessarily true either. I think that, you know, Disney, I don't know if Disney necessarily buys them, but I think maybe Universal buys them and gets all the rights back somehow or something like that. And then they build, because they already had the theme park in the 90s. You know, they had in Universal Studios, there's the Marvel area, the Islands of Adventure. So they probably try to invest more and purchase more, and then they can run their franchises. But, you know, who knows? Who knows what ends up happening? But that was the whole impetus for why everybody had all the different rights, was because Marvel was floundering and needed to recoup money.
But it is an interesting question. I know we've actually talked about it here at times on the pod. You know, for as much junk I think we've thrown at DC at times, and I will always do that for the Zack Snyder 15-hour cut movies. One of my favorite comic movies is still a DC movie, and that would be the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. I mean, it's just such a fantastic film.
It was brutal, man. Like it was really good.
It's a fantastic movie, and that's the thing, is it's like you do have you could have popcorn love Avengers stuff all day long. At the end of the day, you do have some really good deep characters with the DC stuff, and some of the love's not there. But it is interesting though, and you go back to what you just said with Batman in the 80s. I mean, gosh, that Nicholson Joker is just fantastic, and well, Keaton's a great Batman. I don't I don't know that he's the best, but man, he's fantastic. So it's
I
interesting.
mean, even
Yeah,
Danny DeVito actually did a fairly decent Penguin.
Oh yeah, yeah. Danny DeVito did a great Penguin. That's the thing where DC has it over Marvel is the DC villains are fantastic.
Hmm.
You know, there if you go by the comics, there's some really good Marvel villains. Doctor Doom is a very good. He's a very nuanced villain. Technically, depending upon how you look at things, he's not even a villain. Um, it just really depends on the story and the writer and everything. You know, Green Goblin is another one where, if done right, fantastic villain.
Hmm.
Fantastic villain. Doctor Octopus, another one. Fantastic villain if done right. And I think he was done really well. I think he was done justice in Spider-Man 2. And I think with the Green Goblin, you started to see what he could have been had he not get, saddled with fucking scene chewing in Spider-Man 1. But they basically wanted him to chew the scenery the entire damn movie.
right. Yeah, you're not wrong.
So
I don't know. It's interesting though. This that's the cool thing about like an exercise like this. It elicits those things of like, hey, what's missing, and then
You know what's really missing is Beverly Hills Cop.
that's
dude,
true too.
it's another one. Uncle Buck.
Big.
Big's
Big
on
is
there.
on there.
Big's
Big's on there.
Trains,
Yeah,
Planes, and
Uncle Buck.
Automobiles.
Home Alone.
Home
No,
Alone.
Home Alone's
Alone's
90. 90. Darn.
Oh, Christmas Vacation.
Dude, 89.
Yeah.
Yes.
Vacation.
Yeah, the vacation movies.
Yeah. Christmas,
There's
yeah.
quite a few things on there that should have been. And Spaceballs.
And Spaceballs.
Never let us fall.